Hey, welcome to the show, Leading and Growing Your Real Estate Business. This is Coach James Short, aka Shorty. And this is a show for those within the real estate industry wanting to lead and grow their real estate business. It's a series of interviews that we conduct for those within the industry. So we're finding out what those leaders are within the industry, what makes them tick, what's their story, what are their strategies, and how to become the leaders and the growers within the industry. But also it's an interview series with those outside of the industry. I'm always a big believer of looking at a whole different part of the pie rather than just focusing on one part of the pie. Because what it does, it allows you to have a different perspective, allows you to get snippets or golden nuggets from those outside of the industry that can look in the industry and go, there's a different perspective. And so I encourage you to reach out to the guests. I encourage you to lean into these series to find out how can these pieces of information, experiences, stories help you lead and grow your real estate business. And before we get underway with our latest episode, just a little shout out to these amazing crew at Magic Mind. Magic Mind has been it's a productivity hit in the bottle. I've been using these supplementations now for a number of weeks, and the clarity, the focus, and the performance that I've been getting from these nutrients in a bottle. They've got amazing vitamins, amazing minerals. They've got a bunch of mushrooms in there as well. It's a great productivity hack that I've been using every single day. So if you want to try it out, head on over to www.magicmind.com/James Short, and you'll be able to get amazing discounts when you subscribe and when you try the product. And at the checkout, simply add in James Short 20 to get your discount. So head on over, Magic Mind, productivity in a bottle. Oh, I love it. Now on with the show. And I'm excited and honored to have this next amazing guest, Jess Whatman, CEO from Agent Sync. Oh, she is the number one virtual assistant and offshore business manager business in Australia. Oh, we're honored and privileged to have her here today. After years of climbing the real estate ladder and keeping up with the hustle and bustle that is in Sydney, it was a business trip to the Philippines that started it all. Searching for a quality alternative to paying crazy dollars, we all know that, for an assistant in Australia, turned into years of building relationships and working closely with committed to your cause, more than qualified and reliable Filipino OBMs and VAs. 2 decades and a ton of experience in outsourcing offshore team members later, Agent Sync was created with the ultimate mission to help small business owners like you grow and scale your business without paying 80 to 110K a year, sometimes even more, for onshore employees who'd rather be doing anything but actual work. Oh, Jess, let's have some fun. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, James. Thanks so much for having me.
So let's unpack early days of real estate. What was that looking like? Tell me a little bit of background about that.
Yeah, so I started my real estate career 20 years ago. I finished school and sort of went into reception, as you do when you're starting out. You start off in those smaller roles and just worked my way up from, reception into a sales agent role. And then I got into a big office in Sydney and was in the management team there, exec team. And yeah, they were thinking about outsourcing for, a good 3 years, and then finally decided they had to do something to really free up the people in the office to, I guess, spend more time with clients, go out and prospect and, spend time at open homes and things like that. So we wanted to learn how to outsource to really, take all of that back end admin and marketing to the Philippines. So it was never about replacing jobs here, which was lovely because I went over there thinking I was training someone to replace myself, but it wasn't the case at all. So learning how to outsource really every department in the office. And it was a big agency in Sydney that had 5 offices, about 60 staff. So just learning how to outsource property management tasks, sales agent, admin, marketing, even accounts. That's where I learned how to do all of it. And then I was there for another 8 years, just managing all the offshore team, and realized I can actually do this, a bit better, and how I would like to actually run it. So yeah, I started agency 2 years ago now, and now I've got over 100 VAs now in the Philippines. So it's
So
grown
good.
very quickly. And now we're servicing some other industries, which has just, happened organically, which is lovely. But it's so needed in the real estate industry. And I know there's a few other outsourcing companies there and that do amazing job. But yeah, it's really about freeing up the time of the agents and the property managers here.
Fantastic. Take me back to that first trip over when
Mm.
you went over initially. What did you realize? What was that? Oh my goodness, like it was what was those aha moments when you went over there for the first trip? What did you realize?
Mm. Oh, I went over thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to train someone to do my job, and I'm, literally going to get fired. That's what I thought. But I had in my mind that, you think of like a Telstra call center where they're all packed into these little offices and they're getting paid $1 an hour, and, they're not going to love their job. And I was so surprised by the quality of their education and their skill set and their English. And that's one thing that we spend a lot of time with in agency, is finding that right person with the experience and the training, and also their past employment, their education. They've got to have great English. So I was just blown away when I went over there and saw it for myself, and just how lovely they are as human beings, and they're so grateful to have the role. Whereas here, I find, you might employ someone and they'll stay for a couple of years and then they'll go chasing more money, which, that's all good. But with the Philippines, they're very loyal people. So if you treat them well and you pay them well, you almost have them forever. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, really lovely quality.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now, you mentioned, I guess, one of the barriers of where the perception is of why people don't outsource is because of English and education background. What, I mean, and that's just once again a perception, when what
Mm.
you do is that you actually go through an incredible process to find the best for the best. What are some other barriers of, people may be thinking about, I know I got to do it, but I've got all these perceptions and barriers. What are some other barriers for people of reasons why they don't outsource?
Yeah, absolutely. So security is a big one. And
Mhm.
the way that we, I guess, manage that is we like to employ people. Obviously, we do our checks that, they've had great working history previously. We do all sorts of background and past employment checks. But essentially, they're integrated into your office and using the platforms that you already use. So if they're using, say, Agent Box or Property Me, there's certain settings within those software, and most of them are cloud-based now. So you just make sure you're giving them a setting which is, a very minor setting, like an admin. You don't give them the master login so they'll be able to download everything. It's really like employing someone here in your office. You wouldn't start them on their first day and give them the logins to the master user, logins for everything. So we also like to give a lot of recommendations around different platforms to use in terms of LastPass or Bitwarden to securely hold those passwords. But essentially, you want to just give them access to whatever they need to be able to do their job, but not anything crazy like trust accounting passwords and things like that. If they're just doing a bit of data entry in your agent box, you just give them the admin, and all they can do is, put in new data and amend some data, but they can't go and download your whole database. And I think that's where a lot of people think that they're going to, do all sorts of crazy things and on-sell data. But if they don't have the ability to download it all, then obviously, yeah, they can't do anything crazy like that.
Hey guys, just a little side note here. How's it going? Are you on track this year? I know that sometimes this part of the year we can feel like we're in a bit of a grind, a bit of in the trenches. Are you on track from the original plans that you set out for the rest of this year? What I've realized is that between with this time of year, we get so distracted and we've got trying to chase so many shiny balls and go down so many rabbit holes. And that's why I created a program called the 90. It's a framework that actually allows you to achieve more in 90 days than ever before. Some of the feedback that we've got from some of the people that have used the process, the 90, is that they've achieved more in 90 days than the whole previous year. So if you'd like to have the tools, have the techniques, have the framework on the 90, so you and your team can achieve more in 90 days than ever before. What it does, and it impacts you of how to get clear, what you need to do, and who you need to be to show up in order to achieve the things you want to achieve over the next 90 days. Simply head over to jamesshort.com.au, click on join the waitlist, fill in your details, and one of the team members will be in touch and take you through the 90 framework. On with the show. And that's what I love about like agency is that whole going through the checks and balances and insurance, not just set and forget. It's like that whole support along the way.
Yeah.
Because I've heard some stories where, principals or directors have gone, well, I'll go out and find my own VAs. I'll go out and find my OBMs. And what happens is there's disasters. What are some of the disaster stories that you've heard with those obviously not using, your company and your system, but outside thinking that they can do it themselves?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just not being aware of uh, different things that can happen. So our onboarding is really secure, and we make sure we do all of those checks. But I think having a team like us, and we also have industry specialists that we call in. We've got some great property management coaches, sales agent coaches that we can get involved if they need to have more structure and processes in place. I think if you're going to go out and get your own VA, by all means give that a try, but you want to make sure you've got proper systems in place. Our platform where we manage our VAs, we're able to check on their productivity. We're able to take screenshots of their screen if you would like. We don't turn that on because obviously our clients are using certain databases or bank accounts and things. We don't want to take screenshots of that, but we have the ability to track these things. So the monitoring of the VA is yeah, it's quite comprehensive. So if their productivity drops below a certain amount, one of our VA managers will reach out to the VA. Hey, what are you working on? We can see you're not being very productive, and we can sort of coach them through, why they're not being productive. So with hiring a VA yourself, you're not going to have all of that management in the back end.
Love that. And that's so important because I think that's a really big misconception is they're not in the office. What are they doing? Like I
Mm,
can't see them
yeah,
physically. And
yeah,
so you've actually bridged that gap where it's like, okay, yeah, they don't have to be in the office, but we all have the understanding of working from home or working
mm,
remotely because of obviously what's happened over the last couple of years. But now you can actually measure it, which is absolutely phenomenal. So it gives that principal director of peace of mind. It's like, okay, cool. What's my report? I can see that they're actually producing what they need to be producing, and
yeah.
I can breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing I implemented with the VAs that I was managing at that large agency, because I had lots of VAs in different departments, and I would often get to the end of the day and think, I don't actually know what was achieved, that day. So I had all of them start an end of day report. So, at 5:30, they'd send through their report, and I could have a quick read of, okay, yep, they did those 5 tasks. Is what is outstanding. And a lot of the time it's actually a great reminder for myself to be like, I've actually got to go and approve that email so they can carry on with their tasks,
Yes.
because you've just got so many things happening. So as soon as a VA starts with us and a client starts with us, that's one thing we implement. And we have the ability to see that end of day report as well. So if an end of day report doesn't get submitted, then like it gets flagged for us as well. So then the next day or that night, we can reach out to the VA. Hey, you didn't submit your end of day report. The client might be wondering what you've done that day. It's something that we need to keep on top of. And not that we want to micromanage, but we just want to make sure that the client's paying us to manage the VA and provide a great service. And for us, that end of day report is just something little that just helps everyone. It keeps the VA, to be held accountable, but also it's just great for the client to go, oh, wow, okay, they did actually achieve a lot today, without me having to constantly ask and give new tasks and things.
I definitely think that should be for all staff in-house as
Yeah,
well
yeah,
as
I
off
agree.
out. Yeah, that's like
Yeah,
because it's like It's like the VAs are doing more work than the person sitting next to you, but you
Yeah,
don't know
yeah, and
what's
you're paying them
happening.
100K, and you're like, what did they actually do today?
That's right. Exactly. What are the future trends? Where do you see the industry going with outsourcing? Where do you see the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Yeah, it's funny. When I started, my background is in the sales space, but so many of my clients are property management because there's just so many of those tasks. And there's amazing platforms now, Property Me, Property Tree, like all of these things to help, manage that whole process. But there's still a lot of data entry, a lot of property management companies wanting to switch platforms. And
Yep.
there's a huge gap with that data cleaning, data migration. In the last month, I've had so many inquiries for, that data migration. Can we have a whole lot of VAs check this data, put it into this platform, make sure it's all good. And also in the selling of the rent roll space as well, lots of checks and balances, making sure it all is, moving across to that new company. So the data seems to be what everyone's interested in at the moment. And there's things like ID for Me and things that you can get data, but once you've got the data, you've got to do something with it. So is it VAs putting that into place or cleaning up the data you've got? I think at the moment, everyone, whether it's agents or property managers, they need the data. So to have VAs skilled and trained up in that database cleaning and migration, I think, that'll be huge, I think, moving forward.
So good. So good.
Mm.
On the show, we have our 60-second quick quiz to find a little bit more about our guests. Are you willing to play?
Yeah, of course.
All right, here we go. Favorite food?
Mexican.
Ooh, favorite movie?
I'm a romantic comedy kind of gal, so I think an oldie is 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, how good's that? I love that one. Favorite holiday destination?
Bali.
Nice. Do you have a morning routine?
No, I get woken up very early by my two young girls, so it's just a mad rush to get them ready for daycare. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Evening routine?
Uh, a bit of dinner, Netflix, and bed. Yeah.
Nice. And if you could invite 5 inspirational people to dinner,
Mm.
who would they be? They could be dead or alive.
I would probably go someone like Oprah. She's had an
Mhm.
incredible career and life. Melanie Perkins, she created Canva, and she's Australian, and that's just incredible company. Dan Martell, he's all about
Yep.
outsourcing. Who else? Oh, I'm not sure. I think those three. I
That's
think
three?
that would be a good combo. Yeah.
Yeah, nice, nice. Do you have a most embarrassing moment?
I fell asleep under the Leaning Tower of Pisa when I went on my Kentucky tour at 21 years old, and the bus left me behind. So I had no money, no wallet, no passport, and I had to try and find a way to the next location, which I didn't even know where it was. So I had to go and ask for money, to use a payphone, to call the head office of Kentucky and say, where is everyone? And then I had to borrow money off some random person at the Leaning Tower of Pisa to get on a train to then get to Rome to meet the bus. And then walking onto the bus to see everyone, like, where were you? I was like, I don't know. I was hungover and I fell asleep on the grass. It was
I
pretty scary,
love it.
but yeah, it's funny to look back on now.
Yeah, so funny. If you were prime minister for the day, what's one thing that you would change?
Ooh, um, I'd have to do something with the whole tax brackets and the taxing of these huge companies, whereas small businesses are really doing it tough. I would definitely have to look into that.
Fantastic. And what's your best piece of advice?
Change your mind, change your life.
Ooh,
So
I
I
love that.
think, yeah, mindset is everything in business and life. So if you can learn to work on that and change it, it'll change your life.
So good. And what's coming up for you? What's some of the projects or plans that you guys are working on at the moment?
Yeah, I've spent this last 12 months really just focus on growing the business. We've got our freelance platform that's got some great VAs on there that are available to book at any time for these little projects. I'm working on a course at the moment about how to train and manage VAs so people can sort of learn how to do that. So yeah, just continue to grow the business. Yeah, I'd like to see 200 VAs in the Philippines. So yeah, just lots happening.
Fantastic. And what's the best way for people to follow your journey and reach out to you?
I'm pretty active on Instagram, so it's Jess Whatman _AgentSync, or on the website, yeah, agentsync.com.au.
Fantastic. Jess, really appreciate it. I love what you're doing with the industry. I love how you're supporting everyone within the industry, and really thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.